We can.
True.
Oh my god. Oh, we're going reverse?
Damn.
We are.
It was the right way the whole time.
Yeah, go for it.
My name is Paige Semenza. I am from Pittston, Pennsylvania. I go to CrossFit Vertex.
Paige Semenza. I've been working with her since immediately after the Open, and she is the newest, or one of the newest rookies that we have that has made the CrossFit Games.
I went to my high school in Pittston for up until 9th grade. After 9th grade, I went to a private school in Vermont called the North American Hockey Academy for the last 3 years of high school. And then from there, I graduated with a full ride to Ohio State. And from 2009 to 2013, I was at the Ohio State for Division I ice hockey. I first went into powerlifting right after college. Not much of a professional sport at the time, I guess. There was some semi-pro hockey going on, but that required me again to move away from home. And at the time, I was really just ready to be home. So I found powerlifting for a year with one of my friends from college. Did pretty well. I did nationals for a year when it was in a local area for me to do it. So I did that and it was fun. And then I found CrossFit from a friend who I was coaching a local high school team with. She's like, hey, why don't you come try it out? And you know, we go to, they all, like her and her cousin went to the same gym, so she's like, why don't you just come up with us? Now first, like, you know, when you're in college, you're like, CrossFit, like, blah, blah, blah. You hear all the bad things about it. And I tried it, and I loved it right away. So it was really competitive, but in the way where, you know, you're competitive with the people in the gym, but you're finding ways that you make it harder and more challenging for yourself, which I really love that aspect.
This year is the first year she really committed to our program. She had some other people programming, kind of doing spot programming in the past. She was a team games athlete before, so she did some team programming with Timberwolf CrossFit and had some kind of individual stuff on the side. But this year was the first year she did our program and followed the blog up until the Open, and then reached out for some remote coaching. 2016,
it became really competitive for me. I qualified for regionals as an individual in the Atlantic region. I had the owner now coach me at the time for the 2 years. 2017, I went to Timberwolf CrossFit for 8 months. I lived out in Minnesota. Kelly Wild and I went to Ohio State together. We played together for 3 years. It was really nice knowing somebody on the team and having that opportunity come out. So I moved out there, you know, qualified for regionals, qualified for the games, got the whole experience on the team side of it, which is very different, but still really fun. And I really thought I would like going team since I played team sport growing up my whole life. And then this year, I wanted to take it real serious, and my ultimate goal was to go individual. It really paid off this year. I knew going team, I would get the full experience. I would get to train with people who are better than me, that would challenge me, that would just be a really great opportunity right from the get-go. But ultimately, in 2016, you know, I went from barely making it into regionals to finishing 14th, and I really kind of, you see the bigger picture and you're like, oh, shit, you can probably do this. So I knew then that I wanted to go individual, and I wanted to experience the games in some aspect. And when the opportunity came out to go to Minnesota, it was really hard to turn down. The end of the games last year, I started following the Misfit blog about 2 months after, and then qualified for regionals, placed 4th in our region at the Open, in the Open. I knew I needed something more if I really wanted to make a run this year. So I signed up with Gabe. We had a phone call. I didn't know he'd be my coach at the time. He's like, hey, it's me. So we had a nice long conversation that very first day, just talking about goals and you know, what I want out of this, and you know, just making sure that it was a good fit for us. And it ended up working out really, really well.
When I started working with her, I had her doing the regular regionals prep, and then as soon as she was done, I'm bouncing off of Caroline. What did you get on this workout? Talking to Mackenzie, what did you get on this workout? To assess her based on, she wants to make the games, right? And you know, I need to compare her with other people that are of that level. We had a lot of cramming to do for sure, in terms of learning what her strengths were and weaknesses were. And for me, I mean, she qualified very high in the Open. She was 4th in her region in the Open, so we knew that she had the physical fitness, the capacity. But when it's really tested to that next level, we kind of had to dig deeper very quickly in terms of what makes her, go, and then what are her real weaknesses that could come up and prevent her from going to the next level. She is very honest and very straightforward and doesn't hide much. She's a little bit quiet, but I was able to get enough out of her that I knew kind of where I was going to start poking initially in terms of the mentality. We had about an hour conversation when we first decided, and through that she definitely hinted at certain things, unknowingly to her, but hinted at certain things that I was like, all right, I'm immediately going to start testing these things. And it was really interesting because that was the biggest change for her in terms of qualifying for the games. I honestly, 2 weeks before the games, she dealt with an injury to her wrist and she couldn't do really anything overhead, and she was really close. She was on the brink of just falling apart and giving up. And I really did not think 2 weeks out that she was going to even do that well at regionals because of that. And because I was able to know a few of these things about her, I fortunately probably asked the right questions and got her in the right mindset. Well, I would say she got herself in the right mindset, and it was a whole different athlete. And that literally 2 weeks before it was the transformation for her, because she put together the perfect regionals where the plan, everything went according to plan and better. And you don't ever see that, and it really takes that positive mindset and the confidence that I know if I follow this and I trust in this, everything is going to work out okay. And it happened. I definitely am not this is how it's going to go. It's, I know a lot about what I'm talking about and I know what's right. And actually it's funny, she just came over for dinner the other night and we had a long conversation about this, and she talked about how she appreciates the freedom to figure it out sometimes for herself. And I really am a firm believer in, if you say this is what you have to do and it's coming from me, then you limit the athlete, because they are a little bit they have a better understanding of what it feels like, what they're going through, and what they're capable of. And really it's my duty to make sure she's in line with what I think she's capable of doing, and setting herself up to outperform what she thinks she's able to do.
I couldn't have asked for a better regional. I had my best friend in the back with me. I take this sport real seriously, but I love to goof off and joke around, and it was very lighthearted in the back, in the warm-up room, and I think that really made a huge difference for me, mentality-wise. And I had Gabe on hand, if I needed to call him or text with him. And we talked strategy about each workout, and just knowing that if I go out and put in the work that I've put in training, it's going to pay off. It's funny because it's like I think everybody around me that was there watching was way more stressed out than I was. It's just like you're in the moment, you're so present in what you're doing that it's like you're gonna go, you're gonna give it your all every single event, and you're gonna see where it places you, and you're gonna be satisfied with it because you gave it your all. You did what you needed to do. So I train alone for the most part at home, and I love competition. So getting onto that regionals floor, I think I thrive in that kind of environment, and I PR'd every event. I PR'd event 5 by 3 minutes, and that one, you look at that event, the 50s, and you're like, it could go very wrong if you mess up in one part of it, but it went way better. I kind of had somebody to chase the whole time. So I think that's what really kept me pushing. It went so well. I was sitting on the bubble the whole time, but I held that 5th place for the last 3 events, and that was exactly, I couldn't have asked for a better ending to regionals with day 3.
She has a really good motor. She's really strong and powerful. but I think she might be a little raw, even though she's been to the games on a team. Having that individual responsibility of all things being on her and having to strategize for only her and not having to work as kind of a unit, I think is slightly new to her in this sport. And I think that she will need some time to learn kind of how she will play her game against others. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a positive time where you have a chance to really learn a lot about yourself and a lot about the sport that you're in. This is her first run as an individual, like you said, she's a rookie. So there isn't a lot of things that I've seen that she's real weak at all. There are things that we could certainly polish up. Coming in 5th in that region of ladies down in the Atlantic, when you're talking about Cassidy Lance, Emily Bridgers, Kenzie, even Whitney Glenn, who's a multi-time individual, for her to slide in there and have the amount of girls underneath her, just that tells you and me how good she is and how well-rounded she is based on how this was the best year I think they've ever programmed at regionals, and she crushed everything. Even the things that she was very nervous about, she put up good scores compared to the field. So when you have an athlete who's nervous about certain things coming up and think you can hold them back, but they still finish in the top 15 or top 10, that shows you where their fitness is really at. So she's legit. I mean, you have to be at that level.
It's all about you. You obviously you have the support around you, but you're the one going out there, you're putting in the work. It definitely takes a lot more dialing in on every part of your training and part of your nutrition and your mental side of it. It's very easy to get caught up in what everybody else is doing. Social media is so big, you can go and see somebody's, hitting a clean PR and doing this and doing that, but you really have to focus in on you. I'm definitely nervous, obviously, you don't know what to expect, but I think this weekend and being here at the Misfit camp and getting to meet the entire Misfit crew and training with China and training with Kenzie is definitely an eye-opener for me in a lot of ways, but it's also really helpful to see how they go about their daily life and their daily routine. And obviously when you are in a hotel for 6 days, it's kind of hard to be in your daily routine, but for the most part, we're splitting training up as if each piece was at the games and kind of giving that high intensity into every single piece. And I think what I like most is as soon as we start a training piece, it's like zeroed in focus. And sometimes when I'm home by myself, it's hard to do that, because you're by yourself and you don't have someone to chase or you're not trying to beat somebody. But I definitely will have more confidence. I already do have a lot more confidence after this weekend in having the hands-on coaching that's happened throughout the weekend and just the little mindful tips that really go a long way. Gabe and I had talked about it and he's like, what do you think? And I said, I want to go top 20. So I really kind of want to cut that field in half and know that I'm in that top tiny percentile of the fittest on earth. So that's what we're shooting for. But we're going to give every event as much as we can and have fun with it.
I let them prove it to themselves, I think is more accurate. And there's another athlete that I have that is known for coming out hot because he just is the type of athlete that gets so excited about being there and wants to beat everybody, and he beats everybody through the first 30 seconds of the workout and then just completely falls apart. So for me, I had to say, all right, we're going to work on some negative splits here and force the rest and force the pace and say you can only go at a 155 on the roll around this workout. And I think honestly that's the difference between that athlete that takes a lot longer to learn about those things and an athlete like Paige, where she knows her body, she knows what she can do, she hears that feedback and she says, okay, I'm going to try that, and immediately it kicks in. She goes, okay, that's the key to success, I'm doing that. It takes way longer when you're trying to figure it out yourself because you have to experience that, and then you probably have to experience it again to confirm that it is actually the wrong or the right thing to do, right? And if you have eyes on you, you have somebody analyzing the results, it's a lot quicker because you have somebody who can tell you the truth. I think that's a huge value of having whether it's remote coaching, having somebody right there, having that accountability on those things for sure.
It's more of the mindfulness and the mentality that has changed a lot from working with Gabe. He's very calm, he's very black and white, but in a really good way. When you do something well, he's not gonna hide it and he'll tell you, but he's also ready to give advice and tweak anything he can to make you a better version. And I really like that. And at regionals, I didn't have him there, so, again, we were calling and texting and stuff like that, but he always knew what to say, and it always, I'm on the competition floor and I'm thinking about those things that he says, and it clicks. Or I get back into the warm-up room after the event, I'm like, all right, we did exactly what he thought would happen. He predicted things so well, and I'm just, you realize how much more you're fitting into that concept that he has and those ideas that he brings about. He's definitely made me a more mature person, not even just an athlete, but as a person. One of the really coolest things is they're never gonna be mad. Gabe's never gonna be mad, For me, I don't want to disappoint him, but he's never gonna think like that. It's all about making you a better version of yourself, and he'll never take credit, but he definitely deserves a lot of credit. So I think that's kind of the whole Misfit mentality, which is really awesome. Very selfless crew that really builds into and feeds into everything that, they want to give you everything that they have. And it's really cool to see. I look at Kenzie and I look at China, and I see Kenzie with Seth and I see China with Drew, and you kind of see how their personalities match up and their mentalities match up. And I think, it's a really good fit for them. I think Gabe is a really good fit for me. Just when it comes to daily routine and, the mental side of training, and, I feel a really good fit. It's just when you know.
Yeah.
So if I could train like this all year round, think of the potential and the growth. It's awesome.
Is there anything that you want people to know about you?
Yes. I love pit bulls. I love any kind of puppy, really, but pit bulls are definitely my favorite. That's about it.
All right. Nice.